Hello students, welcome back to online classes. In last session we discussed about the structure of water, properties of water as well as the type of water. So that is soft water and hard water. So soft water is the water, it will not contain magnesium or calcium salts. So that is said to be softer water. Then the hard water is the water, it will contain the calcium and magnesium sulfates in the form of hydrocarbonates, chlorides and sulfates. So we will remove the hardness of water temporarily as well as the permanent methods. In temporary methods we have two types, one is boiling, another one is glass method. In permanent method we have four types, one is by adding or treating with the washing soda, and secondly Calgen's method, and thirdly iron etching method, and fourth one is the resin method. So in this way we can remove the hardness of water. So if we see the disadvantages of hard water, so it is not suitable for the laundry purpose because it will not use the lather or foam with the soap. As a result of that it will reduce. So as a result of that the wastage of soap should be ours. And if we use the hard water for the boiler purpose, then the efficiency of boiler is also reduces because it forms or it will be deposited in the form of a salt and it gives scale. As a result of that the efficiency of boiler should be reduces. So these are the advantages these are the disadvantages of hard water. So next is heavy water. Heavy water. So that is the deuterium water, D2O. D2O is the deuterated water and also deuterium water. That is, in general we are calling it as a heavy water. So heavy water is nothing but it is different from that of the H2O, because in case of water, normal water, hydrogen contains only one proton and one electron, but in case of heavy water, deuterium contains one proton, one electron and one neutron. So due to presence of one neutron, it will become heavy since it is considered to be heavy water. So this heavy water we can prepare by doing the exhausted electrolysis of normal water with treating little amount of alkali. So we can prepare heavy water. We can prepare this heavy water by exhausted electrolysis of water containing little alkali. So usually the sodium hydroxide. So 0.5 molar of sodium hydroxide is required. So we can prepare heavy water by exhausted electrolysis of water containing the little amount of alkali, and it is sometimes it is also obtained as a byproduct in the some industrial procedures. So we will obtain 1 ml of heavy water, 1 ml of heavy water after the electrolysis of 30 liters of normal water. So for the requirement of 1 ml of heavy water, we have to do the electrolysis of 30 liters of normal water. So see here, this is the major difference. So for production of 1 ml of heavy water, we require 30 liters of normal water. So 1 ml of heavy water will obtain after the electrolysis of 30 liters of water here, and it is present. So one part of D2O means heavy water is present in 6000 parts of normal water. So one part of heavy water is present in the 6000 parts of normal water are also ordinary water, and the heavy water gives all the reactions like the hydrogen peroxide. The heavy water will gives or shows all the reactions like that of a hydrogen peroxide, but it will be slower. So the reactions which involves heavy water, they will become slow. So in this way, the heavy water is different from that of the normal water. It can be prepared by exhausted electrolysis of water containing little alkali, and we will obtain only 1 ml of heavy water after the electrolysis of 30 liters of normal water, and 1 part of heavy water is present in the 6000 parts of normal water, and sometimes the DO is beside product in the some industrial procedures, and means it is obtained as a side or a byproduct in the industry. So in this way we can prepare heavy water. So and it is showing reactions with metal carbons, means heavy water is reacts with the metal carbons and gives some of the hydrocarbon, reacts with the metal carbides and gives the hydrocarbons. So hydrocarbons are also heavy deuterocarbons. Heavy hydrocarbons, and or it is also called as deuterohydrocarbons, means deuterocarbons. So for example, the aluminium carbide, if it is reacts with the heavy water, we will obtain deuteromethane with aluminium hydroxide. So we will obtain the deuteromethane. So after the reaction with aluminium carbide, so aluminium carbide, if it is reacts with the heavy water, we will get the aluminium hydroxide with the deuteromethane. So CD4. So in normal water we will going to get CH4. So whenever it is treated with the normal water, we will get methane here. But when it is reacts with heavy water, we will get deuteromethane. Instead of hydrogen, we are replacing by D. So here also, in normal we are getting the aluminium oxide, but here we are going to get the formation of aluminium deuteroxide. So that is hydroxide, it is the deuteroxide. So in this way you can remember. So aluminium deuteroxide with the deuteromethane. So this is the deuterohydrocarbon, sorry, deuterocarbon, and it can simply called as heavy hydrocarbon. So next, if it is reacts with calcium carbon, we will get the formation of calcium hydroxide with C2D2, that is deuteroacetylene. So when the calcium carbon reacts with the heavy water, we are going to get the formation of calcium deuteroxide with the liberation of deuteroacetylene. Deuteroacetylene. So in this way it will show reactions with some of the metal carbides by giving hydrocarbons are also deuterocarbon, and it is also showing some non-metal oxides also reacts with the heavy water giving the deuteroacids. Some non-metal oxides also reacts with the heavy water giving acids. For example, sulfur triacid. non-metal oxides also reacts with the heavy water giving zero acids. For example, sulfur dioxide, if this reacts with the water, we are going to get the formation of H2SO4. So that is deuterosulfuric acid. Deuterosulfuric acid. So when sulfur dioxide reacts with the heavy water, it will give the formation of deuterosulfuric acid. So in this way, the heavy water shows the reactions with metal carbides as well as the non-metal oxides also. Whenever it reacts with the metal carbides, we are going to get the formation of deuterocarbons or also heavy hydrocarbons. If it is reacts with the non-metal oxides, we will get the formation of deuteroacids here. And the anhydride of deuterosulfuric acid is the sulfur trioxide. The anhydride means anhydride of deuterosulfuric acid is sulfur trioxide. Means we have to remove D2O from this. Again we are going to get the formation of sulfur trioxide. And here D2O is used as a moderator in the nuclear reactor reactions, and it is also used as a tracer for the many of the reaction mechanism. So here I will write here heavy water is used as a moderator in a nuclear reactor, and it is also used as a tracer in many reactions. Okay, these are the uses of heavy water, many reaction mechanism. So heavy water reacts with non-metal oxides and giving deuteroacids. For example, sulfur dioxide reacts with heavy water, it forms deuterosulfuric acid. The anhydride of deuterosulfuric acid means if we are remove the D2O from deuterosulfuric acid, we are going to get the formation of anhydride of deuterosulfuric acid, that is sulfur trioxide. And this heavy water is used as a moderator in a nuclear reactor, and it is used as a tracer in many of the for the study of reaction mechanism. So this is about the heavy water. So heavy water is different from that of the normal water, because we will obtain only 1 ml of heavy water after the electrolysis of 30 liters of normal water, and 1 part of D2O is present in 6000 parts of ordinary water. So that is why to prepare heavy water, to get 1 ml of heavy water, we require 30 liters of ordinary water, and the reactions of heavy waters are usually slower compared to other reaction mechanisms involving water or as a hydrogen peroxide. So this is about the heavy water. So next is the hydrogen as a fuel. So we are using hydrogen fuel because during combustion it will releases larger amount of heat in the form of energy compared to that of the petroleum combustion. So that is why hydrogen fuel will be release more energy than that of the petrol combustion, since it is economically friendly also, because there are no much more pollutants in the dihydrogen fuel compared to other fuels. So that is why the hydrogen fuel is bioeconomical as well as it is environment friendly also. So if you see the characteristics of hydrogen fuel one by one, so it will releases the hydrogen fuel releases heat more than petrol during combustion process. It will releases more heat more than petrol during the combustion process, hence it is a better fuel than the petrol. Hence it is better fuel than the petrol. Why it is better fuel than petrol? Because it releases more heat, or else the larger quantities of heat. It will releases the larger quantities of heat during combustion process more better than that of the petrol, since it is a better fuel than the petrol. So next, the pollutants in the combustion. The pollutants during the combustion of hydrogen fuel is less compared to that of the petrol combustion, because only the tracer amount of or minimum amount of nitrogen oxides are present in the hydrogen fuel. We can remove that impurities of nitrogen oxides by adding little amount of water to cylinder. So this water will reduces the temperature. As a result of lower temperature, nitrogen does not react with the oxygen. So in this way we can eliminate the impurities in case of a hydrogen combustion process. Means while production of hydrogen fuel, we can eliminate the impurities by adding the little amount of water. So it will helpful for the reduction of temperature. As a result, nitrogen does not react with the oxygen. If temperature is high, nitrogen reacts with oxygen and it will forms nitrogen oxides. Only at high temperature, nitrogen will react with the oxygen moiety. So that is why the pollutants in combustion of hydrogen, the pollutants are impurity. The pollutants in combustion of hydrogen are less than in petrol. The pollutants in combustion of hydrogens are less than that of petrol combustion. So only oxides of nitrogen are associated with the hydrogen. Only the oxides of nitrogens or dinitrogen are associated with the hydrogen, and we can minimize these pollutants in combustion of hydrogen by adding little amount of water little amount of water in a cylinder, it will reduces the temperature so that the reaction between nitrogen and oxygen may not take place. So in this way we can eliminate the impurities in the hydrogen fuel. So we will minimize the pollutants in combustion of hydrogen by adding only little amount of water. So next is a cylinder compressed hydrogen weighs about 30 times much than that of the petrol tanks. The cylinder of compressed hydrogen weighs about 30 times as much as tank of petrol containing the same amount of energy, and hydrogen gas can be converted into liquid state by cooling it into 20 Kelvin. So we can convert hydrogen fuel into liquid state by lowering the temperature about 20 Kelvin. So we have to convert liquid state of hydrogen fuel by cooling this hydrogen fuel at about 20 Kelvin. So we will get the liquid state of hydrogen fuel. For this we have to require some of the insulating metal alloys. Like insulating metals alloys nothing but the combination of one or more than metals which will be acting as a insulator. So that is called as a insulating metal alloys. So metal alloys means the metal is joined or combined with the one more another metal and it is behaving as a insulator here. So that is said to be insulating metal alloy. For example, so we will convert hydrogen fuel into liquid state or in the form of liquid state by cooling it in at about 20 Kelvin. So this would require the expensive insulated tanks, and these tanks are coated with the insulated metal alloys. Insulated metal alloys. Metal alloys are nothing but the combination of two or more than two metals. So those will be acting as the insulators. So those are considered as insulated metal alloys. So for example, we have sodium nickel 5 and titanium is mixed with titanium hydrogen and magnesium with magnesium hydride. So in this way we can convert hydrogen fuel into liquid state by cooling it to 20 Kelvin. So this would require expensive insulated tanks. These are made with the alloys like the nickel Ni5, titanium hydride with magnesium and magnesium hydrides. So these are used for the storage of a dihydrogen. So these are used for the storage of a dihydrogen. So this is about hydrogen fuel. So it releases larger quantities of heat compared to that of the petrol, and the pollutants in combustion of hydrogen gases are less than that of the petrol combustion, and these impurities can be minimized by adding little amount of water. It will slow down the temperature. As a result, nitrogen does not react with the oxygen, and we can also convert hydrogen fuel into liquid form by cooling it on about 20 Kelvin, and it requires some of the insulated tanks which will be obtained in the form of metal alloys, and these are used for the storage of a dihydrogen. So next, if we move towards the hydrogen economy, so hydrogen economy is nothing but the transmutation and storage of energy in the form of liquid or gaseous hydrogen. So hydrogen economy. It is based on the principle. It is based on the principle transformation or storage of energy in the form of liquid or a gaseous dihydrogen. So this is the hydrogen economy. So we have to transmit energy or store the energy in the form of a liquid or a gaseous dihydrogen. So that is said to be dihydrogen fuel. So the advantage of hydrogen economy is that energy is transmitted in the form of a dihydrogen and not as a electrical power. Means we are transmitting the dihydrogen not in the electrical manner. So this is the most advantageous. This is the most advantage of a hydrogen economy and hydrogen fuel. And in the history of India, the pilot project using dihydrogen as a fuel was launched in the October 2005 for running automobiles. Initially, the 5% of dihydrogen has been mixed with the CNG for use in four-wheeler vehicles. The percentage of dihydrogen would be gradually increased to reach the optimum level. So in this way, the hydrogen fuel has its own importance for the production of the larger quantities of heat. And so this is the comparison table. The energy released by the combustion of various fuels in moles, gram as well as the liter. So dihydrogen in gaseous state, dihydrogen in liquid state, LPG gas and methane gas as well as the octane in liquid state. So the hydrogen fuel, it is used as a rocket fuel and it is the non-polluting fuel of the near future. Means it is the very economical friendly or a bio-friendly fuel. Means it has lesser or a minimum amount of impurity in it, and we can also eliminate that impurities also. So this is about the hydrogen fuel and hydrogen economy. So this completes your hydrogen unit. So in this unit you learn about the hydrogen as well as the isotopes of hydrogen and why we have to place hydrogen in the first position of the periodic table. Next is the water, structure of water, properties of water, types of water and heavy water, and next is the deuterium water or also heavy water, and hydrogen fuel and hydrogen economy. So this is about the hydrogen. Thank you.